Well, the May jobs print coming in hotter than expected. The U.S. adding 272,000 jobs. That was well above expectations. For more on the state of the labor market, Yahoo Finance's Jennifer Schonberger is standing by with Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su. Jennifer, take it away.
Hi, Shauna. Thank you so much. Yes, I am here with Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su for more on this morning's jobs report. Secretary Su, always great to see you. Thanks so much for joining me.
Me too. Thank you.
The unemployment report stronger on many metrics, but the unemployment rate ticking up to 4%. We haven't seen that level since January 2022. At the same time, the labor force participation rate fell, and the household survey showed a drop of 408,000. So are these signs of weakness to come?
I don't think so, Jennifer. You know, the numbers speak for themselves, right? 272,000 jobs created last month, and the unemployment rate is still at or below 4% for the longest stretch since the 1960s. We're at 30 months straight now. And to be honest, many people thought that even 4% was too low to get to. We would never get there, certainly not as quickly as we've gotten there, and not for as long of a time. And real wages are, continue to be very solid, and the prime age labor force participation rate ticked up a tiny bit. And, again, overall, just a very solid month. A continuation of a very solid year and a very solid economic recovery.
What about the fact that when we look at the job growth and where it's coming from, it seems to be the government sector, healthcare sector, month after month. What is that saying about the strength of the job market?
So remember, each month it has been very broad-based across many sectors. So yes, healthcare, yes, government, but also professional services, also construction, also leisure and hospitality. The overwhelming majority of growth that we've seen has been in the private sector. And so there's just, it's just overall such a strong, steady, stable, continued growth that I think this is certainly the coveted soft landing that many people said wouldn't happen. And again, none of this was promised. None of this was inevitable. It happens because of steady leadership, and that is what, President Biden's economic agenda has always been about this. Broad-based growth, investing in America, creating more good jobs, creating more opportunity, and we are seeing the results of that in the numbers.
So you think we are here, we've gotten the soft landing?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a hard answer just because we're always keeping an eye on what's going to happen, right? And we got to continue to do the good work. We got to continue to, invest in good jobs. We have to continue to make sure that there's safe roads and bridges and bring manufacturing home. All of this work is the continued work of this administration. But yes, I don't think there's any way but to say that the numbers don't lie and say that this is a soft landing. Strong job growth, low levels of unemployment, high labor force participation rate. It's all the things that you would want.
How much of this is owed to immigration? Goldman Sachs had some stats out this week. They said they think that 80,000 jobs per month last year were owed to immigration. This year they expect a tailwind of around 50,000. How much do you think immigration is adding to the story?
Well, immigration has always been a part of our labor force, right? Part of our talent pool. That's been throughout history. And certainly immigrant workers are part of this story too. Now, the majority of the jobs that have been created have gone to native-born workers. So I think that's important too. And what it really tells us is instead of an economy where we have a shrinking pie that has to be divided up among more people, we are seeing a bigger pie overall. That's what the job growth demonstrates, right? That's what the over 15 million jobs created since the president has come into office, the most of any president in that same time period, tells us. When you create a bigger pie, there's more for everybody.
How do you see President Biden's new executive order on the border impacting the labor force?
Well, we don't really see an impact on the labor force at all. I will just say, as the acting labor secretary, I think it's important to emphasize that all workers, regardless of status, have the protections of labor laws, and that's why we keep talking about good jobs. Like, we want everybody to have a good job. That's why this summer I'm going to, I've just launched our Good Job Summer Tour, going to cities across the country to talk about the jobs that are being created, to talk to working people and their families about the impacts of those good jobs, and to really highlight that this is fundamental to the president's vision of how we build a strong economy and strong communities.
One major highlight of this report is the women's participation in the workforce, hitting another record high for a second month in a row. Secretary, what is this owed to?
I know we've talked about this here, that women have in so many ways powered the economic recovery that we've seen. And as you said, yet again, the labor force participation rate for women reached another all-time high. This is the highest since this data was collected first in 1948. And as you also noted, the second month in a row, and actually the third month total since this president has come into office. So this is what an equitable recovery looks like. This is what it means to create opportunity for all. And historically, we know that women come into the labor market when there are supports for them, and one of those supports is when the wages are higher and there are good jobs. Women look for work, and they're finding it.
And if we were to have, if childcare were more affordable in this country, would we see even higher numbers? And what would that mean for economic growth?
Yes, I mean, I also will never get tired of citing. We did a study here that demonstrates that if this country invested in childcare, like truly, affordable, reliable childcare, which we know remains a challenge, but also good jobs in childcare, which would help with the supply of childcare, then it would allow about 5 million more women to come into the labor force, and that would generate $775 billion of economic activity a year. So I always say, we can't just talk about can we afford childcare. We have to recognize that how can we afford not to invest?
Secretary Su, thank you so much, as always, for your insight. So appreciate it.
Thank you. So wonderful.